الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وسندنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب زدني علما وارزقني فهما. My dear brothers and sisters, young and old, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another live show of Your Health, a health program which every week, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, presents to you different topics on health. Sometimes it's topics that you may not be aware of, and sometimes it's topics you are aware of, and maybe you even are suffering or somebody in your family is suffering. It's a program which kind of focuses more on homeopathic medicine, which is the medicine of the future, especially in this day and age of the NHS crisis here in the UK. The colossal NHS kind of behemoth that is struggling from pillar to post, underfunded, and overused. If it was funded well, it'd be fine, but it's underfunded. The NHS budget, you'd be surprised to know, was a while ago 185 billion pounds a year. Let that be digested. 185 billion pounds a year. Where does the money go? Unfortunately, it's very hard to see a GP. And number two, the list of medicines that have been taken off the NHS and you have to pay for now, that is increasing. And thirdly, we have certain politicians who are now talking about, introducing a levy to see your GP, or a levy, a service charge, when you go to the casualty. So homeopathic medicine is very inexpensive, alhamdulillah, very economical. It's been on the NHS from 1947, and the total budget a few years ago was about £2 million. Where's 2 million compared to 185 billion? It staggers belief. It's so gentle. It's been used by royal families. It's being used by royal families, aristocrats, people who know the benefits of it. Our own deceased Queen Elizabeth, was an avid user and a patron of homeopathic medicine. Her mother as well, her sons, her children, her daughters all use homeopathic medicine. In fact, it's the second biggest medical system in the world after the conventional allopathic system. It's gentle, there's no side effects, alhamdulillah. It's very, very effective. There's so many double-blind placebo-controlled trials which show the efficacy of homeopathic medicine. It's startling that in spite of all these things, many people don't know about homeopathic medicine. So this show is a lot about homeopathic medicine. And same today, inshallah. Today is part 2 of our topic of ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's a very, very important topic. Why is it important? Because there's so many children and adults, males and females, who have ADHD, but they are not diagnosed with ADHD. And hence, they have great issues in school, in learning. People, the teachers, the parents even, unfortunately and inadvertently, and without realizing the truth, label such children as disruptive, troublemakers, backwards children who don't want to learn, who want to just disturb the class. And how does that feel to the child who's being labeled? Children with ADHD and things like dyslexia, and we're going to talk about dyslexia inshallah next week, inshallah. But children with these kind of disorders, dopamine disorders actually in ADHD, how much your brain produces dopamine and how it uses it, as I mentioned last week. These children are trying their best to focus. They can't focus, especially in dyslexia. They're trying their best to pay attention. They can't pay attention. They're trying their best to read the book. They can't read the book. It's not their fault at all. So the sooner they are diagnosed, the better it is for the children, so they can have a structured, organized approach in teaching them what they need to be taught, and for the parents as well, who can breathe a sigh of relief, because many people say this is a kind of a bad upbringing symptom. You don't bring your children up very well, hence they show these traits, which is absolute rubbish. ADHD is not anything to do with upbringing. It's a hormonal issue, a behavioral issue to do with the mind, as I mentioned last week. So today, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to go through a few more points about ADHD, inshallah. So then we can understand. I'm going to also mention today, masking. Some children have ADHD, but they hide it. I'm going to go through like 6 points, which will tell you if your child is masking ADHD. And I'm going to also go through some manifestations of how it presents itself. I mentioned before that there's 2 types of ADHD. Well, the 3 types. One is it's inattentive ADHD. Number 2 is impulsive hyperactive. And number 3 is all 2 together, which is inattentive, ADHD, hyperactive and impulsive, all of them together. So I'm going to go through the symptoms of this, and then I'm going to ask you and explain to you, show you the symptoms of children showing this, and then the symptoms of how girls will show ADHD. There's a difference between them. Then I'm going to go through obviously what causes it, and then I'm going to mention what to do if your child has ADHD. 5 points, 5 pointers that will help you in kind of assisting your child. And then I'm going to mention also, inshallah ta'ala, what happens if you have ADHD, how it affects the child going forward. If a child's had ADHD, he's being pointed at, he's not being helped in school, he's been given derogatory names, how will that impact him? Things like anxiety and behavioral problems, learning disorders, peer problems, increased injuries, a child being led towards drug abuse, and then God forbid, having problems with the law, etc., etc. These are all part and parcel of a child not being diagnosed with ADHD. It's such a great travesty. And then inshallah, I'm going to continue and mention, so we'll mention the ADHD signs in boys and girls, but then we'll mention it also in ladies, older ladies. We mentioned it in men last week. And then I'm going to go and mention the homeopathic remedies for ADHD. There's a list of 5 remedies here. There's actually a bit more than that, but we'll go through 5, and if you have more time, we'll go through 7 remedies, and I will show you, if you don't know which remedy to give to your child, the remedies that you can give. It takes about 3 months, but if you can't see a homeopathic practitioner, homeopathic physician, like myself, I am a homeopathic physician for the last 16 years, alhamdulillah. I've studied up and down the country, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah. I spent 9 years studying homeopathic medicine with the BIH in Surrey for 5 years, the Northwest College of Homeopathic Medicine 4 years, St. George's Medical School, alhamdulillah. And I specialize in pediatrics in children's ailments, children with autism, children with ADHD, children with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and other childhood complaints like eczema and asthma. So I'm going to go through the remedies you can just give. There'll be a total of 3 remedies, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and 1 remedy will be given twice in the kind of early afternoon and late afternoon. And it should take 2-3 months, but you should see a great difference in your child's symptoms, or indeed in your own symptoms if you have the symptoms of ADHD. बस मैं यही अर्ज़ कर रहा था कि ये जो ADHD है, जिसके मुताबिक हमने गुज़िश्ता हफ़्ते के अंदर गुफ्तगू की थी, ये बड़ी ख़तरनाक है। इनके जो रेट्स हैं, इनकी तशख़ीस के रेट्स बढ़ रहे हैं। मर्दों के अंदर तो 123% بڑھوتری ہو گئی ہے ان کے ڈائگنوزس کے اندر، بچوں کے اندر بھی زیادہ ہو رہا ہے، اور اس کے ظاہر بات ہے بہت سارے یعنی نقصانات ہیں. لوگوں کو پتہ نہیں ہوتا ہے کہ ان کے اولاد کے اندر یہ ADHD ہے یا ان کے خود اندر ADHD ہو، یعنی وہ بڑے ہو گئے ہیں، شادی شدہ ہیں، ان کی خود کی اولاد ہے، لیکن ان کو شروع سے ان کی تشخیص نہیں کی گئی تو بیچارے انہی سمٹم کے ساتھ ابھی وہ زندگی گزار رہے ہیں. تو یہ خطرناک ہوتی ہے، یہ اگر یہ یعنی یہ ڈس آرڈر جو ہے اگر یہ نہ پکڑا گیا ہو تو جن کو یہ تکلیف ہوتی ہے اولاً تو ان کو پھر علاج کی ہمت نہیں ہوتی، ان کو پتہ ہی نہیں ہے کہ بھائی یہ بیماری ہے، نمبر 1. نمبر 2، ان کی جو زندگی کا جو گزارا ہوتا ہے وہ مشکل ہوتا ہے ان کے لیے، یعنی لوگوں کے ساتھ تعلقات نبھانا مشکل ہوتا ہے، کام کاج کے اندر مشکلات ہوتے ہیں، کام شروع کرنے کے بعد وہ ختم نہیں کر پاتے، لوگوں کے ساتھ بات چیت کرنے کے اندر کیا ہوتا ہے کہ یعنی کہ وہ فوکس نہیں کر پاتے، وہ باتیں کرتے ہیں اور یہ لوگ سن نہیں سکتے ہیں اور کام کرتے رہتے ہیں. لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ بھائی آپ بہت سیلفش ہیں، ہمارے جو ہم آپ سے کلام کرتے ہیں آپ نہیں سنتے ہیں، وغیرہ وغیرہ. تو ظاہر بات ہے ان لوگوں پر اثر تو ہوتا ہے، سیلف اسٹیم کے ایشو ہوتے ہیں، یعنی اور سارے ذہنی بیماریاں، ڈپریشن وغیرہ شروع ہو جاتے ہیں. تو انشاءاللہ ہم کیا کریں گے آج انشاءاللہ شروع کریں گے کہ ADHD جو ہے اس کے سمٹمز کیا ہیں، اس کے لچن کیا ہیں، اور پھر انشاءاللہ یہ اس کی وجہ کیا ہوتی ہے، اور پھر آخر میں اس کے لیے علاج کیا ہے، ہومیوپیتھی علاج کیا ہے، کون سی دوائیں ہیں. تو ہم انشاءاللہ 5 دوائیں مینشن کریں گے، اور یہ جو 5 دوائیں ہیں یہ بہت ہی مفید مند ہے. بلکہ کیا کرتے ہیں آج تو ہم شروع ہی کے اندر یہ دوائیں یہ جو ہومیوپیتھی دوائیں ہیں تو ابھی ویل مینشن دا ہومیوپیتھی میڈیسنز رائٹ ناؤ رائٹ ہے انشاءاللہ. اور یہ بھی بتائیں گے انشاءاللہ کہ اگر یہ جو دوائیوں کے اندر جو سمٹمز ہے اگر آپ کے یعنی بچے کے اندر یہ نہیں پائے گئے ہیں یا آپ کے لیے مشکل ہے سمٹم کو ڈھونڈنا، تو کون سی دوائی آپ ان کے لیے استعمال کریں. 2-3 ماہ کے اندر ان کو بہت ہی فائدہ ہوگا انشاءاللہ. تو چلو شروع کرتے ہیں انشاءاللہ. سب سے پہلے جو سب سے اہم دوائی ہے، پہلے انگریزی کے اندر بات کریں گے پھر انشاءاللہ اردو کی طرف. The main medicine in homeopathy, well there's many medicines, but one of the ones which is very kind of commonly indicated for ADHD is a medicine called chamomile. Chamomile 30C is very good for children who have got ADHD symptoms, and you'll know ADHD symptoms where the child is always, angry, irritable. When you give him something, he throws it away. Nothing satisfies him. He wants a pen. You give him a pen. He'll hold it for 2 minutes. Then he'll throw the pen away. He'll ask for other things. He's not focusing on his work. His teacher said that he's not focusing in school. He's disruptive. He's rude. He shouts out without being asked, etc. So if he is like that, he cries with anger. He's very angry. And then when you give him something, he throws it away. He's got a short temper. And he gets angry very suddenly. If this is your child alongside with other issues of impulsiveness, he wants something straight away, inattentiveness, he can't focus on his school work, his homework, his reading. If your child is like this, he's got these inattentive symptoms and traits, he's got this impulsiveness, and then the third thing, he's very hyperactive. But it doesn't have to be hyperactive. Remember I mentioned there's 3 types: inattentive, impulsive, and hyperactive. The hyperactive part, if it's not there, then it's ADD, attention deficit disorder. He just can't focus. So if your child presents with this, he gets angry quickly, he's very short-tempered, and if you give him something, he throws it away, he's very irritable, and this doesn't have to just be ADHD. If your child has these symptoms, then this remedy can help your child, inshallah ta'ala. Homeopathic medicine, what can cause? Can cure. It's like finding the similimum, finding the remedy which is similar to your child. Like in the Quran, when you have some issue, then what the ulama normally do when you want something from the Quran to read is they find something which has got some similarity with your predicament, wherever it may be. Can't find a job, maybe finding it difficult to earn a living, then they may tell you to read Surah Quraysh. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. So in this Surah Quraysh, you've got the ayat which Allah Ta'ala says, الذي أطعمهم من جوع. Allah Ta'ala, subhanahu wa ta'ala, who feeds them and gives them respite from hunger. وَآمَنَهُم مِّنْ خَوْفٍ, and keeps them safe from fear. So there's the similarity with a person who cannot earn a living, he doesn't have a job, he's finding it difficult to make ends meet. If he reads this 11 times after Fajr and after Maghrib, then good things will happen to him by the grace of Allah. Why? Because this ayat is similar to his predicament. So same thing in homeopathic medicine. We find a remedy which has symptoms which are similar to the patient or the child or the adult, male or female, with ADHD. So chamomile 30C is a good remedy for children who present and with ADHD symptoms. It's also a good remedy for children who have issues with teething. Imagine a child is teething, he's in pain, he's running a fever and temperature, he's going to get angry, he's going to shout, and he's shouting because he is distressed. His tooth is coming through his gums, it's painful, he's not sleeping well, he's vomiting. How do you think that person's mental state will be? Do you think he can read a book in that state? Imagine she's in school and he is being taught. Do you think they can focus on their reading and writing? Of course not. Their temper is going to be really, really, really short-fused. They're going to be disruptive because they're in pain. Do you see the similarity with ADHD? This chamomile is a good remedy for teething. And because it's good for teething, it's also good for any other state which is similar to the teething state, no matter for what reason, they arrive at this state. This is the magic of homeopathic medicine, that no matter what illness you've been diagnosed with, no matter the name, if the symptom picture fits a certain remedy, then that remedy will help with that by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and 10 other illnesses which may be similar. So the first remedy, chamomile. And I'm saying these first because normally we don't have the time to go through the remedies, unfortunately, as we didn't have last week. So chamomile 30 is a good remedy for ADHD, where the child is very angry, very, he's almost feverish. He can't keep still. He's fidgeting. He's touching something. He's flying off the beds, and these children are in distress. Imagine the poor parents. And then, to be honest with you, children with autism, inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. We're going to do a program on autism very soon as well. Autism is such a difficult illness to deal with, and such a difficult illness for the parents of children with autism. My heart goes out to these parents. We see these regular, these cases with autism in the clinic, and it's so difficult. Sometimes, we can't even see the child. We can't even see the child in the clinic because they are so agitated. We had one just a week ago. One child. She came from Oldham, and she just, as soon as she came into the clinic door, she just started putting her hands to her ears and making a loud shrieking sound. And this continued for about 7-8 minutes. Then I had to ask her mum, her parent, look, please, if one of you sit with your daughter in the car, or there's a park near the other branch, if you just take them to the park, and I'll get the details of the case from the mother. It's not the best situation, but it's the only feasible thing we could do in that situation. And imagine somebody who's living with a child like this. Her mother was saying that, look, at night time she doesn't sleep, so then the mum can't sleep, unfortunately. So that's autism. But same thing with ADHD. The poor child, he's in a state where he can't focus, he can't pay attention, he wants to pay attention, he can't, he's agitated. So the remedy, chamomile, if you give this every morning for up to 3 months, inshaAllah ta'ala, if your children's symptoms are like this, it will benefit him and her tremendously. Number one. Number two, another remedy is called Cina, C-I-N-A. And the first remedy was chamomile or chamomilla, C-H-A-M, C-A-M-O-M-I-L-L-A. Chamomilla is a well-known homeopathic remedy which we normally give for teething. Children who are teething all the time, and they're agitated, they're angry, they're cross, they want something, you give it to them, they throw it away. Angry, irritable, unprovoked anger. The second remedy is called Cina, C-I-N-A. This is a remedy which we normally use for worms, children who have worms, intestinal worms. We give this to the children. And one of the signs of having worms is they're always kind of itching the rectum area, and number two, they're always kind of putting their fingers into their nose deeply. These are two signs of having a worm infestation in your gut. So Sina is a worm remedy, but it's also very good for children with ADHD, because when you have worms, you're agitated, of course. You're very, very irritable, and this shows in your total, composure. You're not composed. You're not focused. You're irritable. You quickly, your mind changes quickly. You're not focused because of distress. So Sina, if a child wants to stay with the parents all the time, doesn't want to be touched by anybody else, or he doesn't even like to be, looked at. So if your child has ADHD symptoms, I'm going to go through the symptoms inshallah after I go through the remedies. If your child has ADHD symptoms, he doesn't want to be touched. He wants to be with the parents. He doesn't even want to be looked at, and he's very, very irritable. He cries. He's angry. Under the symptom of ADHD, then Sina is a good remedy. This remedy should be given every morning and every night for up to 3 months, and by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your child with ADHD will be a child with no ADHD, insha'Allah ta'ala. And I'm going to go through the reasons why you get ADHD. One of the reasons why you get ADHD is those ladies who smoke while they're pregnant. When they're expecting, they're smoking. They are the rates of children with ADHD born to ladies who have smoked during their pregnancy is double the rates of those ladies who don't smoke. Yeah, things in that cigarette go through the blood-brain barrier and go to the child and affect the child. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Then that child will come to the world with ADHD. He will suffer and you will suffer. Smoking is a very, very, very dangerous thing to do. We know what it causes, the cancers it causes, etc., etc. But, not just yourself, now the limit is being traversed and the damage is being traversed, and it's affecting your child as well. One of the reasons. Number two, lead. If you're exposed to lead, that can, make sure you check your water pipes, especially if you live in old houses. They have lead pipes. Make sure them pipes have been changed. Lead is another heavy metal that can cause issues that lead to ADHD. Another thing that causes ADHD is trauma. The child hits his head somewhere. He's doing boxing. Example, she's doing boxing. That can also cause. This is why it's haram in Islam to hit somebody on the face. نهى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الضرب في الوجوه أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet of Allah, salawatullahi alayhi, Allah Ta'ala's peace and blessing be upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, forbade hitting on the face. This is why the famous former, world famous martial artist Khabib, what did he do? He knew this. So that's why when somebody asked him, he said, this is why I don't hit the face, and I always try to make the people tap out, mashallah. So it's very dangerous to hit somebody on the head because it can cause trauma. It can cause severe trauma, and the trauma will happen, then it can happen 10 years later. Okay, so that's two remedies, chamomile and then Sina. The third remedy is hyoscyamus. Hyoscyamus is an amazing remedy from the Solanaceae family of trees. This hyoscyamus is a very interesting remedy, and so stramonium. In fact, stramonium is a remedy which grows near the graveyard. But we'll come to that one. At the moment, let's talk about hyoscyamus. Hyoscyamus is a remedy where the child with ADHD has the symptoms of ADHD, but he or she swears. They swear a lot. They swear blatantly. A child doesn't swear. But this child who needs this remedy, which will help him with his ADHD symptoms, swears a lot, strangely so. So if a child is exhibiting ADHD symptoms and she is swearing a lot, and alongside that, this child will touch her private parts. It's an important symptom. For some reason or the other, they will do this behavior. If she does that, then it's almost a certain indication that they need this remedy called hyoscyamus. And the dose for this is a 30C homeopathic tablet of hyoscyamus every night for 2 to 3 months. Bahut hi fayda hoga inshallah. And the fourth remedy for ADHD is the remedy called stramonium. Stramonium is like the brother of hyoscyamus. It's a remedy which is indicated for children who have been born via C-section. When a child is born by a C-section, that has an impact on that child for sure, for sure. And anyway, so if a child's got ADHD symptoms and this child is very scared, it's a remedy for fear. Stramonium is a remedy for fear. He's scared, something's happened to him, he's seen something, he's been exposed to something which has frightened him, somebody has hit him, and then the fear festers inside this person's being. Due to this fear, this child is now becoming frustrated, he's becoming angry, he can't concentrate, he's irritable, and he exhibits ADHD symptoms. If it's caused by fear, then, and this is an example of certain things, certain illnesses being caused by emotions, then this child will benefit from stramonium 30C inshallah ta'ala. And then the fifth remedy is something called a rescue remedy. Actually, I had rescue remedy in my pocket. There we are. This is rescue remedy. It's an amazing remedy for many issues, supporting normal mental performance, etc., etc. It's a very good remedy. This is very good alongside whichever remedy is indicated. Let's say it's Sina, let's say it's hyoscyamus, let's say it's stramonium, let's say it is chamomile, whichever the remedy is, alongside that, you can give your child this rescue remedy. Rescue remedy just calms the person down. If you've had a shock, this will calm your nervous system down. It's an amazing remedy. Everybody should have this in their car. I have it in my car. Anything, a wheel puncture, you got your family with you, a few doses of this, and alhamdulillah, you know, you don't feel disturbed at all, inshallah ta'ala. It's a very good remedy. ADHD remedy as well, a remedy for any kind of stresses, for bad news, or when you're not feeling 100%. It helps your mind function a lot more better. It takes away stresses. It's an anti-stress remedy, rescue remedy, mashallah. A very good remedy. Fortunately, we can't zoom. But we're going to go for a break now, inshallah. After the break, we're going to go through the slides, explain to you again in reverse order ADHD symptoms, show you the symptoms that are manifesting in ladies, in children, inshallah, and then by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will have completed the ADHD. Please stay with us until after the break. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.